Fingers crossed indeed, folks. And well, yeah, if you are on YouTube, this is now a separate stream. So I guess welcome to this second half of your Wednesday night action at the Gentlemen's Sim Racing Club. If you're on Facebook and you've stuck with us since the Aussie Legends, great to have you here, continuing with us as we continue the broadcast coverage from Canadian Tire Motorsport Park, formerly known as Motorsport Park and very much known just simply as Motorsport to all of us here and around the world, virtually and in real life. And a fantastic racing circuit, short yet technical, but mostly high speed is where the technicality comes in. And we look forward to seeing exactly what the drivers can deliver us here tonight for our Trophi.AI Supercars Series racing action. Drivers are just wrapping up qualifying now, so we'll have good results shortly. And thank you. I look forward to seeing what the two sprint races can do. It's very similar to the Legends, but there will be compulsory pit stops, not optional stops to worry about there. My name is Daniel Yeaman, staying on the microphone for you here tonight to wrap things up in these supercars, and Adam Lavis pushing the buttons and playing around with things to figure out what's going on in the background of stuff. And Adam, after some great racing there in the Legends, a bunch of drafting games and shenanigans to worry about, and we step into the supercars, which won't offer necessarily that same kind of drafting pack action, nor will they be able to race as many cars through a corner at the same time, but bigger, better, different perhaps, may be the answer we're looking for.
Well, yeah, I think last time the boys came here, they put on a pretty good race. I think, like, characteristics-wise, Motorsport is probably the most similar Australian track would be Phillip Island, and that pretty much always puts on good racing no matter where you are. So it'll be interesting to see if tonight they can stick to that same formula and put on a good show for us.
Yes, that will be the question marks for us here tonight. Looking at the qualifying conditions and weather-wise, we're looking at 18, 21 Celsius, but yeah, of course, we're about to transition to the race, so that'll be a bit of a different story. This is how the championship situation is after P2 at Watkins Glen and the win at Barcelona, Catalonia, but also accounting for how the bonus points shook out across those races. Jake Slade is the man on top of the point standings by all of only 2 points, mind you, going into this one here tonight ahead of JS Douglas. Those two looking to be the early form guide of the season here in the Elite division of our supercars drivers. Sam Cowan currently sits P3 to make it. Some double drivers there for Revolution E-Racing there. Luke Page, Sam Chapman going to round your top 5 at this stage, and then a tie for Seekers and Snadden. And actually Andy Barber, they got promoted up to the Elite split from Devs. Same for Jordan Eitler. And Matt Maley, after not racing last week, but at Watkins Glen, still sits in 10th. So we had a bit of class shuffling there. The Barbers and Jordan Eitler up from the Dev split. So there is that to consider. And do we have the Dev standings there? We do indeed. Nathan Michael now, as a result, is the class leader for Devs. And he's got there a nice and healthy 18-point margin for now ahead of Eduardo Zamora, then Dust Sharp and Daniel Snedden tied for third place at this stage in the season, with Michael there now promoted to P2 and P1 in the class results, with those adjustments for the Barbers and Eitler up the order in this point of the season. So, with that said and done, let's have a look at how the drivers are going to line up for tonight's first sprint race of 2. And Jet Murray joins the racing action tonight and slots himself into a pretty quick contemplation for Elite with a pole time of 119.141 ahead of teammate Jace Douglas. Jake Slade and Luke Page going to share row 2 there tonight, about 3 to 4 tenths back. Sam Chapman and Tim Nicol just very close to each other there, almost half a second off the pole time. There's Sean Rigby, Alex Seekers on row 4. Craig Bond and Andy Barber, they're going to round top 10. We better go quick if we can, actually, because I've held this on a bit too much. Marcus Hankey, the first Dev driver, with Dane Sandler to his outside. Ryan Barber, Nathan Michael on row 7. Colin Bennett, Daniel Sutton, row 8. Kurt Nomerson, Jack Humphreys, row 9. And Dale Sharp, Pete Matson, last 2 drivers in qualifying times in this race. And it's time to get ready for the racing action. Standing starts here in the supercars, the Trophi.AI Supercars Series. We are underway, folks. With the initial jump from Murray. And it will be Jake Slade up the inside, potentially for P2 as we get away from this one. And not quite, though. We'll slot in behind the JMR drivers and kick things off here at the very front of the order. It's a little bit more busy in the mid-pack as they come down the hill into Clayton Corner. And Craig Bonders tried for the outside on at least Sean Rigby and ended up putting 2 tyres in the dirt. So drops back behind Andy Barber off the start here as we come into Quebec. Turn 3 for the first time and try and sort ourselves out here. 15-minute sprint race. They did 1 minute 19s in qualifying. So probably looking at around 13 or so laps in this race. So watch out for that here tonight. Here's the drivers. So that was Osikas and Page come together on the exit of Moss. 530 is backwards in the fence on the inside of the final part of the turn. He will get going once again, but way out of position there now and off the draft pack. Top 4 have broken away. Sam Chapman has picked up a spot to stay with the top 3 unchanged here as we run down the end of the straightaway here. Try and get these cars to pitch in turn 8. Hop up on the curb here, obviously a little more compliant with curbs, of course, with bigger cars. Down the back of the field, more trouble in the mid-pack. Sorry, Dane Shannon. One of the barbers have come together through turns 8 and 9. Kurt Nomenson's also entangled in this as well. And we're going to have a couple of replays we'll need to queue up once we get a moment to pause and relax in this one. Here, Adam, unfortunately, because Snadden is in the pits after that incident here. Mid-pack is definitely where the action is at, though, at the start of this race. As you see here, Marcus Hankey in the number 036. Daniel Snedden behind him, trying to get second place in the class. Don't forget that one there, of course. They are racing the drivers in their division here tonight, despite the fact that they're all on track together at the same time. As we dip down into turns 4 and then Moss, of course, turn 5. There's a Hankey up inside of Andy Barber. Try and stay with Nathan Michael for the class leadership here. So they work their way on to Mario for the second lap in this race. It's been a bad run for Andy Barber. He's going to get absolutely eaten up by Jim Humphries, it turns out, because Daniel Senna was searching up behind him and couldn't get around him. So the exchange there will give Humphries 2 spots down the straightaway. There's been Hankey here, a little bit up the order from that pack with some clean air, trying to now latch into the top 10. You see our lap times coming in here. The first flying laps, 1:19.7 for Jet Murray, 1:19.6. Jace Douglas, 19.8 for Jake Slade, then the 1 minute 20s. Chapman, Sikas, Nickel, and so forth. Until you get to the Sean Rigby P8, 1:21. So lap times fading with some reasonable rate of pace change in the front of the field. As continue to watch here, Hankey essentially setting up a position here to move for P10, but around turn 3, he'd have a slip and slide for him there. Meant that he didn't quite get the drive I think he was looking for there up towards Moss. And of course, we're talking about the importance of Moss Corner, Adam, in the Legends cars for what they was going to do for racing the areas, but if anything in this car, it's more important because the draft isn't as viable, so you need a really clean exit to get in position to set up a pass here tonight in the supercars. There will be some drafting on offer, but just nowhere near the capacity given that these cars will be able to charge onwards in years up to the rev limit or whatever the ratios the drivers have chosen to go with here tonight. So that aero stall you were talking about in that for Legends earlier on is not going to be a factor here tonight in these guys.
No, definitely not. These guys have got much more horsepower, so they'll be able to punch through the air. So you're going to need to get a good run and then make use of what system you have, or force your opponent into a bit of a mistake to try and get them to have a poor exit and then capitalise where you can. So the plus of this track is because it's a lot of left, right. Once you do get into a sort of a side-by-side situation, it can go back and forth a couple of times before it gets sorted out. So it's just a matter of trying to get your opponent off-footed and take advantage where you can. As we see Jet Murray go wide, just one in the spot.
Oh, but Jake Douglas backs it up. He doesn't want to give him the spot, so they've just invited Jake Slade straight back to the equation. And the question is, does Slade get the chance to run that corner at full pace or not? We'll go on board with him now in 3rd position as we get up towards the end of the back straight. He's closing in on Douglas as we ride on board with him now. The question is, no, not really in position to get up alongside and really contest. So he'll back off a fraction into turn 8 to make sure he's got a good line, maintains his momentum into the end of the lap here and not allow Gen3 to run away. But there you go, unforced error from your race leader, going to just potentially give Slade an opportunity. But it clearly shows you that it's not necessarily team orders per se from the JMR cars. They're going to run this in this current order, it seems, for the middle part of this race, if that's an indicative of what's to come. Now, of course, we might see them change things up later on when the actual racing comes down to the results at the end of this sprint. Don't forget, of course, the top 10 will invert, and that's an outright top 10, which means Nathan Michael currently holds that invert grid position. That's the other reason why Marcus Hankey might want to try and really go with him here, because if they can, if the invert goes as it is, then Nathan Michael starts the feature race on pole, and Michael Hankey starts the feature race from 11th. There's a bit of a slip and slide for Slade off of Moss. Can't get the power down as cleanly on this particular lap. And that's going to mean now, though, he loses that opportunity contest at the end of the back straight. And also careful, of course, you don't want to have that car sliding out underneath you because that'll burn away the tyres as this race goes on. Yes. Line astern for the top 3 once again. No action coming just yet for these drivers, it seems, as around White's corner once again. Get back on with the racing. Well, further on back here, Colin Bennett in behind Pete Matson for 17th place, and Matson is trying to set himself up to defend the spot, but I think he's overdriven it. But Bennett doesn't get alongside through the last turn, so it allows them to settle back into a normal racing line for turn 1, both of them. It looks like Matson's just not getting it into the apexes as nicely as Bennett. The turn isn't using as much of the exit as, oh, that's wide and mid. Yeah, it gets a late apex, but it's a little compromised, I think, there for Matson. But luckily for him, Bennett's not really in a position to capitalise on that just yet. He tries low on the exit for turn 3. Again, nothing coming of it just yet.
And Matto got himself a new livery here. Got with Blackview. It's his the new company venture he's into with selling technology stuff. So if you're looking for some new tablets or phones, I'm sure Pete will hook you up. So got his livery there, just get some exposure out there.
Critically though, they're through Moss corner that time. Matson missed the second apex, so Bennett's right there, and he's going to force the issue up the inside. No contact in the fence, and around will Pete Matson will go. The front comes off both cars, and you can say farewell to the clips there. They'll both limp it back to the pit lane here by the looks of it, and so that will see them abort that race early on there.
Oh, lucky I got the plug in before that.
As we'll go to the next battle pack here. Nathan and Mark together, have been together, they still are. Ryan Barber in front of them, critically. Could be the driver that makes all the difference here in this race. Because at this stage, only Nathan Michael goes into the invert. Hankey either needs to find a way to get Nathan to push past Ryan for position and go with him in the process. Or actually happen as Andy Barber's gone off. Oh, and Daniel Sennan gets tagged in Moss corner as well. Oh, a bit of a tag from Dale Sharp on.
Andy Barber's already got a black flag, but that's incidents or something. That's a very early black flag.
Yeah, incidents or a slowdown, not surfer somewhere on the circuit. That's what's happened there for Andy, on top of a post-race time penalty from race control. So unfortunately for him, that's going to send him practically to the back of the field in this one tonight. We'll have to then start the final race from near the rear in this one, unfortunately, which is going to mean a bit more work to do for one of our newly promoted elite division drivers here in the series. On board with Hankey through turn 3. See there, got a lot of steering lock in, and he's also really relying on their 4th gear through turn 3 to try and not spin up the rear tyres. So that really tells you here, tyre preservation, a high concern for Hankey. And Only goes to second when they really back up here in Moss. I mean, I get why you do it, but at the same time, you almost need to be revving that one slightly higher so that you're not dug out in the corner. And also really struggle to get it turned in by the looks of things there through turn 3 earlier on with Hanky. But up the Murray Tree straight away once again, just over 270 kilometres an hour. This Rd-3 and again, only one gear pull. You almost could do with going back to fourth. Oh, fourth gear, only at turn 9. He's really trusting in the torque, but I think it's causing him to have to really steer it in tighter. And he's not getting that car to tip in with engine braking. And he's having to do it with the steering and possibly working the front end a little more than I would like to see. Yeah, at the very least, give him a good chance. There you go, Ryan Barber deep through turn 2, gets him right on the back of Nathan Michael's gearbox. They all stack up. No move through, and once again, preserving his own tyres, but we're getting towards the end of this race. You probably need to start looking at just maximising everything you've got now. Pushing on. See what we can do in this race here. Yep. This is going to be one of the important battles. Watch at the end, because the top 3 are still unchanged. Not sure Ricky and Craig on together at the moment, which might be worth a look at. They're closest of the elite drivers at this stage. Just under 4/10 of a second here for 7th place. We'll bring the classes back together on screen. You can see here. And we now have Andy Barber and Colin Bennett. Both are in the pits at this stage. It looks like they're going to have 18 drivers finish the race to wrap up things tonight. Here we go, no searching from Hankey into turn 1, but isn't close enough to get up the inside of Nathan Michael, who in turn was looking at the inside of Ryan Barber, but also not able to be making a move there. So continuing to probe at each other's weaknesses, try and find something, but nothing coming of it just yet.
No, it's interesting here too, because like Michael and Hankey, they're battling for the lead of the dev split, and unfortunately for them, Ryan Barber's right in the road of them getting through that. So Nathan would like to get past, put a car between, and Marcus would like to use the fact that Nathan can't get in front to capitalise. So which one of them is going to get the chest piece in the right spot at the right time to get this done?
All come down to, I think, need to prioritise a normal exit as much as possible, and then just a good drive. Although here you go, Michael a little deep in turn 8, and here you go, Hankey up the inside for turn 10. There's the lunge, but he, respecting the space he needs to give to Michael, has to check up too much. And then a tag on exit that he leans on the outside of Nathan Michael. He's going to lose any momentum he might have had to pressure a challenge into that final first turn once again here.
Well, now he's rehearsed
lap 11.
Can try and
one more lap after this.
Yeah, that's rehearsal done, so now you can try and improve it for the last 2 laps. Actually, Mike's got by.
And indeed, Nathan Michael was in a moment down at turn 2 of some kind. So let's have a look at this one here, because yeah, come over the crest of turn 2, and Nathan Michael was driven in too deep. Marcus Hankey needs no further invitation. And to P10 he will go, invert pole position. And the only dev to do so in this race at this time. All right, coming up on 1 lap to go. Top 3 still unchanged. Jet Murray has found a bit of headroom to run pretty comfortably towards the front of this field, it seems, tonight. And he's going to take the white flag with a 7/10 margin. This final lap, he is, barring any kind of issues on this final lap. Jake Slade is closing a little bit to finish on Jays Douglas, but he's going to need a perfect final lap here, I think, to really be in a position to challenge at this point of the race. It's come through turns 2 and 3, Clayton, Quebec corners respectively, and see exactly how this is all going to play out. neat and tidy from the top three so far. They'll come up and over into Moss for the final time of the sprint. 1, 2, 3 are all getting through cleanly. The gap has opened back up. So this is going to probably finish the way it started. Chapman there on his relative lonesome in P4. As they head up the hill into the back straightaway. Just 2 turns left for Jet Murray to stamp his mark on qualifying and the sprint race here tonight. Douglas will close on in through the last couple of turns, but for Jet Murray, that has been a lights the flag run in the opening sprint of Motorsport. He will take the win of the first half of the Trophi.AI Supercar Series racing tonight. Just Douglas and Jake Slater round the podium off with Sam Chapman, Tim Nicol, Alex Seekus, and Sean Rigby, Craig Bond in top 8. Top 10 going to be Ryan Barber and Marcus Hankey, the only Dev driver in the 10, has secured himself a very helpful advantage to get himself on the front row of this next race, whilst his nearest competitor will be Nathan Michael, who will have to start from P11 in the feature. The last couple of drivers will take the flag here shortly, and we'll be able to get results up when they're across the line, but a little more calm and orderly there tonight for that one, as we were sort of expecting in a relative sense there, Adam. Top 3 unchanged all race long as it happened.
Yeah, thereabouts, just couldn't quite get the move done. Although it probably on Jet probably had the pace overall, but he also had Chase Douglas's rear gunner, so definitely helped maintain that spot. It might have been a different situation if they were all 3 different teammates. But yeah, so good run there for the GMR guys. Now they're going to have to come back through the pack, and as they're trying to form up here for a bit of a 1, 2, 3 photo, see if they can actually do that in the second race.
Yeah, Alex Seeker's going to have to make his way from the middle of the start. Well, then again, thinking about this here, he'll be starting from P5 in this next race. So he's got a good opportunity, if he can just hold position, to even only pick up a couple of spots. That might put him in the place to be able to get near the front of the order for race 2. But, of course, confirming your race results, 0.4 of a second between Jet Murray and Jace Douglas to finish off race 1, with Jake Slade just over a second behind. They couldn't be separated, but ended up being an unchanged finish there, with Sam Chapman up to P4 in a little moment of his own. Then you've got Tim Nicol there in P5 ahead of Alex Seekus for P6. Sean Rigby fending off Craig Bond for 7th and 8th, and Ryan Barber holding on ahead of Marcus Hankey for that top 10. Nathan Michael has to settle for P11 and that outside the 10 start. He'll be sharing row 6 with Luke Page. Jack Humphreys and Daniel Seddon will finish and start 13th, 14th respectively. Dale Sharp redressing the Seddon there stays 15th to finish that one off. And Kurt Normanson ends up in 16th place. Dane Snadden, Pete Matson, the last 2 finishes on the lead lap in 17th and 18th. And so a quick look here to see that, looking at it, that our drivers who didn't finish race 1, Andy Barber and Colin Bennett, appear to be in the server. So we should hopefully have all 20 cars starting this final race to give us the 10 rows in full. One last thing before we get to that feature race here, of course, is the GSRC merch store. If you want something to support the club physically, you can do so at merch.tgsrci.com and get your hands on it down there if you're so inclined. So get in and enjoy the merch party, as it were. As the drivers are heading to the grid in a moment for this 25-minute feature race. Compulsory stop as well, I have to worry about. So all of the fun stuff there to keep in mind. But yeah, merch.tgsrci.com, shirts, hoodies, keychains, the mug there or something as well, possibly to boot. But some of the drivers are grid up here. And yeah, invert that top 10. Marcus Hankey now has responsibility of leading the field away. He's already said it could be everyone's worst nightmare, and be gentle, fellas. Ryan Barber will share the front row with him here tonight. Craig Bond, Sean Ribby now up to row 2. Alex Seekers is sitting in that position to possibly join his teammates at the pointy end, starting P5 as Tim Nicol, who's outside in 6. Chapman, Slade 7 and 8, and Douglas and Murray now have to share row 5 to kick things off in the feature here tonight. And then as they finish, they will start this final race. Nathan Michael, Luke Page, Jack Humphries, Daniel Sneddon, Dale Sharp, Kurt Tomlinson, Dane Snadden, Pete Matson, Andy Barber, and Colin Bennett, if we have all 20 cars in attendance here for this one. Apologies there for the cough. Compulsory pit stop to worry about too. That may change things up as the race goes on, but the lights are on screen. We are underway here from Motorsport, and with the rears. Chase pushes up the inside of Jake Slade and Sam Chapman already, and challenging his own teammate as we get through turn 1. And Hankey has actually hung on to the race lead despite the lighting of the rears. Craig Bond, though, going to challenge him into turn 2. There's contact as Bond rubs on Hankey, and Jason has just wiped out all of his gains on the race start by running wide at turn 2 off into the grass halfway. So he'll end up back in 10th place or thereabouts as he's drifting his car through turn 3 and lighting up the rears. Long run, I'm sure Jake Slade is outside trying to contest with the car, not quite able to offer him up the grip, and then Seekers has got to the back of Tim Nicol. Lights in the rear of the quantum race for tomorrow. As a result, look at them all. Two wide mini deep here. It seems as Seekers trying to get some moves on, but it's ended up just stacking the field behind. The 2x2 car is now got Slade ahead of Jet Murray here for the moment. Chapman and Douglas there behind as they work their way up the Murray journey straight away. Oh, Seekers finds himself off the road. Puts himself behind his own teammates. He needed a clean start to get this one in. As Chapman's now elbows out with Jet Murray. There's contact. They all slow up. Seekers actually finds a gap that he slots through to get back some spots. There's more elbows out further on back behind Snadden and Snadden, I think. Yes. The two cars, I believe, that have just dawdled side to side there. As lap 1 is completed, a lot of drivers shuffling, but not making a ton of net progress, thanks to the ups and the downs that we just witnessed there.
That was a very hectic start there. A couple of guys got caught up and tripped up. Now it's interesting to see if they can recover from whatever losses or gains they've had. But yeah, Marcus Henke, that starting on pole as a dev split is a blessing and a curse, because obviously you get an advantage over your regular competitors, but it can quickly turn to a disadvantage as these elite guys are trying to make their way through. So you got to try and pick your spots and decide whether you're got the pace to stay at the front or where to let the guys pass without minimising your time loss.
Yeah, because again, he's not racing those. He's not racing them for points. It's only track position. And where do you want to be in this one here? As we look here at Ryan Barber trying to get past Sean Rigby at the end of the back straightaway here on lap 2. Can't make it work though, so we'll have to settle back into position as they round the last couple of corners. Rigby gets the rear wiggling underneath him though, out of the last turn. Doesn't offer up opportunity to Ryan Barber though on this current lap as they get around to start the third of these flyers. So we'll do a couple of replays here with Trophi.AI. Destructive labs with the onboard shots here. So over the crest of turn 2, Chase Douglas just ends up being actually sort of escorted a fraction by his own teammate there in Alex Seekers. So that sets up that situation. Colin Bennett has come across Andy Barber having a moment in turn 3, ends up sideways around off the road and has decided actually either then or shortly after, yeah, that's it, that'll do me. The race 1, and then here again, Seekers unforced error just blows it off the road at the end of the straightaway here, and unfortunately he's in a position to capitalise. Chapman up the inside, tags Jet Murray, and then a couple of tags he's trying to gather his own car, so it slows them all up, and then incredibly out of all his Seekers gets back on the road, finds a gap to hold shot through, and then here we go, Snedden into Snadden. Say that 3 times real fast, folks, if you can. Because it is a bit of a mouthful to make sure you get those ones said correctly there. But back live. Field is sort of sorting itself out now. Chapman going after Alex Seekers, sorry, here. For turn one, but can't make the move stick. Seekers drives it in and over the exit curb. He's really trying to defend as aggressively as he can here. See if that pays off him. Chapman's searching though. The thing is, Chapman is he kind of needs to just get as good of a run as possible. I mean, no, perhaps the option here is he knows he can force an error. Perhaps at a Seekers. Whether that's a possible situation at hand here. As to the outside for Moss. It'll prop him up. Thinks about a crossover there. There's nowhere up the inside for him to go, so he's going to have to get back in line. A good drive, he might get the draft. He is going to get a bit of draft here on Seekers, so maybe a slow burner in terms of possible move. Oh, he thought the inside was going to open up there as he tried to get there. And it will open up right at the end of the straightaway, but by that point, Seekers is just able to stay in front enough that there's no opportunity to the inside of turn 8. It's all about the last couple of corners as a full complex now. Seekers in deep in turn 9. Chapman has to cross over. And it's exposing him now to Nathan Michael, who's still stuck here in 11th place and not really going anywhere just yet in this one. In fact, all of our dev drivers still stuck as tags and bumps forward and back. See Michael drop behind his teammate Dane Snadden. Snadden. Sorry, as I said, Snadden and Snedden. Make sure you get that right. As the two of them are now together on the track. Remember, they're not butting. This is now Michael racing Snedden. So this is for the class, second place in the class now. And it will go the way for a fraction of a second. No. Maybe a bit of touch and bump, and they've decided to hand that one back over for the time being. As they come up in the Moss corner once again. So you've now got a train of cars from the race lead all the way back to Chase Douglas just. And Seekers is the second pack of cars here. 9th place to 12th. And then Nathan Michael and Snedden here, 13th, 14th, and Nomlinson in 15th. As they round the end of the back straight once again. Chapman's searching high and low as there's 2x2 into the last turn. Jet Murray up alongside Jake Slade has not found a way past these two guys in front of him are Barber and Nickel. He's going to have to concede the spot for now to Jet Murray as a result of that one. Chase Douglas there waiting as inside at turn 2. Contact with Tim Nickel there. Concedes the spot for now and decides he'll get back in as Slade looking. Inside's open. Can he get there and claim the spot? Slide for Exeter Murray. They'll be side by side down the hill to Moss. And once again, through this left-hand sweeper as Murray floors it on the corner entry. And Slade decides that he's going to maybe play a slightly longer game here. And then up into the corner. Oh, check up in Moss corner. Slade gets in the back of Murray. And Jason Douglas says no further invitation to get up into the inside and take that place away from the 045. It's just breaking that pack up a fraction there now as they're losing a couple of tenths. Chapman has ended up dropping back a couple of spots in that pack there. Is around the outside of turn 8. Jet Murray playing that spot away from Tim Nickel. And it looks like that'll be job done as Nickel actually will choose for the early pit stop in this race and drop out of this lead pack here at the end of lap 6. Murray continues to hustle and slide going into it in the process as well. So watch out for that to see if that's going to be an effective move from Motorsport driver. So here's what's happened to Sam Chapman. So we went to the outside of Seekers, and then there's been door-to-door with number 3 of Dane Snedden on the Exeter Moss corner, and that just lost more of his momentum there onto the straightaway. So that's what that was there. Is Ryan Barber has just given up P4 to Jet Murray through turn 4. Chase Douglas wants the inside of turn 5. The door was open just enough for him to claim that one there, so he will try to do it, but Barber puts the foot down there, a little clean up, and will pull back almost ahead. Douglas is there, gets the side draft off of the right rear corner. So now does Jake Slade go with him? want to. Because remember, Douglas and Slade are right together championship-wise. And Slade, yeah, he's able to get that one pulled up through turn 8. And Barber holds the door open as well in the process. So Slade goes with. Continuing this battle here is Sean Rigby to hit the pit lane a lap after Tim Nicol here in this race to get the compulsory stops cleared nice and early. Back further in the field here, Snadden trying to go around Seekers, but ends up dropping back behind Luke Page. These guys now 7, 8, 9 in the race for now. Which these guys here have dropped away from the next pack of cars. Here goes Snadden up the inside of Page, and the place isn't contested in turn 3. Seekers is deep. Couple of slides on exit. He's probably starting to really light the rears and burn it up. So it says to me that he'll be under threat if you can't get this car sort of under control in the next couple of laps. So we want to run a little longer before he thinks about a compulsory stop. Although in that time, I think Snadden has backed up the corner entry too much, if you can believe it. So just sacrificed a little bit of pressure he was applying to Seekers into Moss corner down the straightaway here on lap 8 of the race. Despite all the bluster and concerns, Adam, at the start of the race, Marcus Hankey is still your race leader after 8 full laps of the circuit, coming up on halfways. And there we go. Snadden and Luke Page will dive to the pit lane. Snadden getting early enough to avoid any issues with an unsafe entry. Yes, he did. No issues coming up with the black flag for him. So it was about as late as you dare, but late enough is good enough in our books.
You can definitely see Marcus obviously got a good feel around here, good pace, even for a desperate driver. And luckily for him, those top 5 guys from the first race have all been jumping over each other and stopping each other's toes. So they haven't actually caught him yet. So he's been able to keep pace on Bondi here and maintain the lead. So doing a great job out in front. But yeah, as we saw the first race was a bit of a conga line. Obviously, the guys I learned during that where the ebbs and flows are, and they've definitely upped the ante in this race with plenty of little sneaky passes and side-by-side action. So good to see.
Yeah, they have Jet Murray closing in though, so that will be a big test for them in a moment as to whether they can hold him back any longer. As we'll watch them here, as that would be Ryan Barber to the pit lane now. As a little bit defensive from Hankey and headlights from Craig Bond. I know Craig's not. This is the thing, right? Is I guess technically speaking, they're racing different races because Hankey is racing all the other dev drivers only. Bond is now having to worry about Jet Murray, who's driving at a rate of knots and would like the class lead. And Bond opens up his corner entry to turn 3, and Murray sees that as a prime opportunity to stick it up the inside here through this third corner. And now he just has to make it stick around the long way here at turn 4, and he goes in deep. Doesn't work though. Inside held for Craig Bond, works for now, but the inside's open. No contact. Murray tries to poke the nose in. It'll upset Craig Bond's run. It makes the place, and that may be something. Well, he's straight on the radio about it. Is Craig Bond, so race control will be to have a look at that one there and decide if that's going to be above board. It's both the JMR cars in second and third for now. Bond back to 4th. Slade back on the pack in 5th, and Hankey another breather of a second for now to maintain his rhythm and run this race as Jake Slade will cut in from behind them just inside of the halfway mark. So that might be valuable here, as we'll have another look at this one from a higher angle. So Craig has to leave a gap there initially, and then it's behind, I think it's at or behind the rear axle of Craig Bond's car. So I get the feeling that that will be a minimum. You could do a redress order, but Chase Douglas is there in the middle of this. So they'll resort to a post-race time penalty if that is indeed deemed warranted. As Nathan Michael off the road at turn 2. Fierce.
Straight out of the pits on cold tyres and did the classic Motorsport turn 2 blunder. Oh, what's up, Kit?
And Nomenson's going off. It's turn 3 there, the outside of the third corner there. We picked up Kurt Nomenson, so that's for turn 2 okay. And then he's just going to go into, that looks like just too deep. Yeah, just too late on the brakes. Turn 3, he's going to slap the tyre bundles, and it actually rips the back bumper off momentarily. And all things internet magic will restore that bumper to him. And then Del Sharp gets on the back of Nomenson after all of that. And oh dear, the Motorsport classic when it comes to a bit of a crunch there. Does redress immediately, checks them all up. Hankey to the pit lane after 12 laps, and just past the halfway mark. Not a bad time to pit, I'd say.
That is smart by Hankey, because that way he's not going to get any interruptions from Jet Murray trying to get past him. So he's maximising his pace on track. So he's maximising his race time.
Yep, Daniel Sneddon has also come into the pit lane, and critically, yeah, the gap there is going to be around 10, 11 seconds still. So this gives the see where Hankey comes out after the stop. The Sneddon is dropping down the order as he rolls out of the pit lane by comparison. Now the main thing generally is overcut works in these cars, but you don't want to leave it too late. As there you go, cold tyres indeed for Hankey. Sees him a little deep again. You can let Sean Rigby go if he wants to. Rigby's already stopped. He's got tyres that have warmed up already. His race isn't with Sean if he wants it. Jake Slade is also there in the background. Now, why is Slade behind? Interesting. Looking sort of longer pit stop, but those 3 laps is Slade catching up to. I think actually, pardon me, I forget Rigby was a little ahead. There you go, a little deep from Hankey. Small mistake for him. Will allow Rigby through uncontested. JMR cars have continued on. They're not stopping on this lap, so they're going to stretch the overcut. A couple more laps, which will give them a tyre offset benefit. The main thing here, though, is going to be what the tyre, is there a benefit to being on fresh tyres around here? And if so, how much? Because that will dictate whether Slade is going to make up time here in this stint or not. Gets past Hankey through turns 8 and 9. And now a fraction closer to Sean Rigby as well. Probably going to race Rigby for position here. And what he really needs is to be able to just run a clean race. Craig Bond, having been in that pack, pits a lap after Jake Slade, and is going to be undercut by Slade, if only just at turn 2. As Slade will just make sure he nails the apex there, but a bit of a slide on exit with Bond there. Has to get the car into rhythm. So these guys now need to race focusing forward and not trying to race each other, I would suggest. If they do that, they have a chance of challenging the JMR cars. But in the last lap, 19.9 for Slade versus a 20.1 for Jet Murray. The tyre gain is pretty negligible for fresh tyres by the look of that. We'll have to see here what this next lap does for us in terms of lap times. That Slade is not having to pass cars in the opening sector. Murray and Douglas go again to get another lap of overcut on their boots. And 19.9 from Murray. Although Jet Murray's just gone off the road at turn 2. He's going to give up the race lead with that one there, does Jet Murray. Chase Douglas will now given a bit of free rein to have at it. So it just rolls in over the top of the hill and it just does not get the line right. So there you go. Chase Douglas going to inherit that spot away for now. Slade now challenging Rigby, and as a result, slightly slower than Jet Murray. But with Murray going off the road and giving up the lead, Chase Douglas might get a bit of a chance here, but side by side through 4, Slade can't contest the spot into Moss corner. They're going to have to just sort of sort this one out between them.
Yeah, JMR's ready.
All right. Has this battling slowed down these guys enough that the JMR cars can pop out in front? Close. Slade was thinking about it, but jumps on the brakes early, and he's going to stay in position to run himself into these corners here. watching to see what the pit time is like for Douglas and Murray. Pretty dang close to any moment now. They are rolling on pit exit. Has Rigby got the momentum? I don't even think Rigby's going to get them here. It looks like Douglas will lead them out of the pits ahead of Murray, and they slot out just in front of the cars behind. And critically, just as I say that, post-race penalty for Jet Murray for his tag on Craig Bond. 5 seconds goes his way. And now, that could put them back with Sam Chapman, give or take. But not much. It's going to be close on that one there. I think he should clear. As Rigby to the inside, Jet Murray tagging around. Jet Murray's race chances are dashed. He'll rejoin back in 10th place. For Rigby, unfortunately, a move that was never quite there. And just what was seen happen elsewhere in this race happens once again. And in all of that, Chase Douglas now gets out in front comfortably by himself. Craig Bond up into P2. Marcus Hankey returns to the outright podium as that there is the tag from Sean Rigby. Yeah, nose into the right rear corner, and it's a guaranteed penalty sentence there for him. As we go back live to Alex Sinkus and Daniel Snedden, 12th and 13th on the road. It's actually kind of wild. This is the second place Dev driver here in 13th place outright. Now, part of that is the invert top 10, Adam, but it really shows here tonight that Marcus has had a really clean pair of heels and been able to maintain pace despite his little pre-race comment about the race start.
Yeah, I think Marcus doesn't give himself enough credit sometimes. Like it's one of those things. I think he's been there or thereabouts. He's always in that sort of cusp area between the splits in both. I think both the Porsches and the Supercars. So for him, it comes down to sort of track preference, and some tracks will suit him more. So obviously, the flowing nature of Motorsport is doing well for him, and he's managing to keep his self in a good stead with these faster guys at the front of the elite split. So very good night for him.
There we go. Work our way through the last couple of turns. Jake Slade would really like to get up there with Craig Bond and Chase Douglas. But at this point in time, it's not going to happen just yet. And they'll come around turn 1 here. Start lap 17. We should have 22 minutes gone in the race. We'll be close on whether it's 1 to go or 2 to go. I think 2 to go at the line next time around based on that, because where they are in the lap currently, they're already knocked off a good 25 odd seconds. And they're coming past 2.5 minutes to go now. They need 1:20 to do a lap around Mosport here in these dry conditions. So there you go, a bit of inside info there. Jake Slade driving injured. That's not believe there, so explanation for why he's perhaps maybe not being quite as fast as he'd like out there tonight. Like certainly still pretty much on pace. The margins here tonight have been pretty minimal. It's Luke Page trying to get past Sam Chapman here, but not going to happen, as indeed Lees are through with about 1:40 to go on the clock. So 2 more laps it will be to make it a 19-lap feature race. So for Luke Page, you've got 2 laps to set something up. For Jake Slade, likewise, what can you do with 2 laps? At the end of the day, if you can't pass Hankey, it doesn't affect your position and point score. If you do get past him, you can't get to Craig Bond. So that's sort of the calculus here. Do you take a move when Craig Bond is second away at this point in the race, or do you just consolidate, just run second? Oh no! Gets a little flustered through Moss corner. and that will pretty much answer that for him there. He should be pressured by Tim Mick on this last lap, but he's now just dropped about 6 tenths of a second. Those guys there. So that will mean the end of that one there. Jet Murray has gone back inside the top 10. He's on the back bumper of Luke Page as well down the straightaway here. And the inside is open. He will take the inside. Page tries to challenge there, but Murray able to both get it in deep enough under brakes, but also hold the apex to pull that one up and go through. He shall. So now just Sam Chapman left to get back to at least 7th as the final lap will get underway here from Motorsport for all of the racing action tonight across both categories. He's looking racy at turn 1, able to just touch the back bumper. So we'll then come around into turn 3. Keep showing the nose here. Does get Chapman a little off the apex of Quebec. So might be something eventuates here down the straightaway, but we have to wait and see on this one. For now, it's up into Moss for the final time. Oh, doors open. Murray's going to try and take advantage of that one there, and he gets inside though. Chapman kills his own run, and I think Chapman might with that just have enough legs to be able to stay ahead at the end of the lap. But meantime, J.S. Douglas, he won the opening round of the season at Watkins Glen. Came close, had to settle for second at Barcelona, Catalunya. Tonight, though, second in the opening race. He will claim the feature here tonight, and that will put him back on top of the situation here. As Craig Bond and Hankey around at the podium. There's been contact between Chapman and Murray on the last corner. Put Murray ahead on the road. He had that time penalty as well that he has to worry about. I get the feeling he might just have another one coming his way. So come through 8, 9. Yeah, that's going to be a minimum 5 second again for Jet Murray. So does himself no favours. Drives into the right rear corner of Chapman. And so 5 seconds was going to have him now back in 10th place. Another 5 seconds only knocks him back one more place to 11th because there was a bit of a gap behind. So that's all provisional at this stage. We'll leave that to race control to discuss in the grand scheme of things. But your race results as they stand across the line. 3.7 seconds for J.S. Douglas over Craig Bond here tonight in the feature, with Marcus Hankey staying 4 seconds off the race lead to be head and shoulders the Dev winner here tonight in the feature, and also therefore for the round as well in 3rd place outright. Jake Slade just behind him, couldn't get through, we'll have to settle for P4. Tim Nicol there in P5, ends up with a bit of gut margin either side of him. Then Ryan Barber for P6 tonight in the feature, with the Jet Murray had one 5 second penalty already, which slots him back in 10th, probably up for a second 5 second penalty. The 11th, I would suspect, as a result for him. But 7th across the line ahead of Luke Page. Sam Chapman gets beaten as a result of that incident by Page by 400ths of a second. And it's Dane Sutton in the top 10 on the road there, half a second clear as Sean Rigby in 11th, just outside. Alex Sekas ends up in 12th after, unfortunately, botching a couple of moments at the start of the race that could have really put him in a strong spot tonight. Daniel Senna, the next of our Dev drivers here, in 13th place ahead of Nathan Michael in 14th. You've got Jack Humphries, last of our running drivers in the elite split, for 15th, and Dale Sharp, Kurt Nommensen, 16th, 17th, the last drivers running outright. And in Dev, Andy Barber retiring 5 laps before the finish, and looks like a no-show from... Oh, sorry, 1 lap completed by Colin Bennett, but then retiring pretty early on, and no start from Pete Matson for the feature. So with that, I'm going to do post-race interviews, and I am going to override the comments made by race control in the booth. So I am only going to grab J.S. Douglas tonight as the overall and elite division winner. Well, if if Marcus Hankey shows up, I'll speak to him, but otherwise then we may try and squeeze in Craig and Dan. But alas, focusing on you here tonight, Jace, because you walk away the round winner here tonight. Beaten in that opening race, or qualifying at least, by Jet on pace. In that opening race, we saw you there, played a bit more of a defensive position early on. You didn't hassle Jet too much, but when the opportunity came your way there in the feature race with another mistake from Jet at turn 2, you really had to take that one with open arms.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, I was chatting to Jet in that race and seeing what we wanted to do, and I was actually going to give him the round win, and suddenly out of nowhere he just got taken out, so I'm not sure what the go was there, but yeah, look, JMR boys did good tonight. One joined the first one and won, and I don't know where Jet finished or Alex finished in that last one.
Yeah, it'll be P11 at the stage after penalties, although there should be one more I'm expecting. Oh, hang on, it was Sean Rigby that was contact with him, that made contact with Jet during the race. So, but yeah, Jet 11, so 7th on the road, 2 penalties for him in the feature will knock him back to 11th place, and Alex in 12th. There tonight. But yeah, you guys had the pace tonight. That was clear between yourself and Jet, to be sure. And I guess, yeah, end of the day, it wasn't much of an issue for you in a sense. I mean, it'll mean you go in, you take the championship lead once again. Yourself and Jake's trading that one back and forth now. I mean, it is only 3 weeks in, so it is early days, but continuing full steam ahead if we're talking the big picture.
Big picture ahead is just keep eyes forward and yeah, just keep my nose clean so I don't have any accidents, because I know as soon as I have accidents then you're not going to win a championship. So just keep nose clean and hopefully come out on top later on down the track.
Yeah, well, it's working for you so far. So that's to be noted there indeed. And yeah, it's a good turn of pace to have that edge here tonight. But yeah, let's talk about let's talk about the next couple of weeks. We've got the Bend next week. We'll take on the international configuration, but go back to that 40-minute regular race format. So more race strategy perhaps that might be involved in that one there. Perhaps a bit more tyre life concerns to worry about. Although let me have a quick peek at the league sessions because they are scheduled for next week already. Let's see if I can spot if there's any weather to worry about next Wednesday night. At this stage, no. It's looking like it actually might be a rather hot race that you guys will have to go through next Wednesday night. So with those kind of things in mind, what is that going to do for you, would you say, in terms of preparation?
Preparation, I've got no idea. We'll wait and see what happens.
Fair enough. Well, it's a track that there should hopefully be some good reference points to build off. Have you raced much at the Bend before in other places and such to actually have got some at least baseline car track combination experience?
Yeah, I raced there a fair bit of times in these cars, and I actually like the track. Just not sure about the temperature wise. It's going to be a bit warm, so I might have to turn my fan up a bit higher.
Well, fair point then. Look forward to seeing what you can bring out on track next week. I hate to cut this one a little short, but unfortunately I'm sort of a little tight on time tonight, Jay, so we'll have to end it there. But floor is yours. Any shout-outs, thanks you want to give, please let us all know about them now.
JMR, all the boys over at JMR, Night Shift Collectives, and Night Shift Collectives, and Lodge Bros, and Jet and all the boys over there. Thanks for helping me tonight, guys.
Well, there we are. Jace Douglas going to be your round winner, second in the sprint, takes the win in the feature at the end of that one there. And it looks like we've lost Craig Bond. I was going to chat to him. I haven't seen Marcus Hankey come and say hello. So I might bring in Sam Chapman, and that will conclude our interviews for tonight. Thanks, Jace, for speaking with us here. And Sam, you also a good chance we'll speak to you after the results of the Aussie Legends too. So a good night to start for you with doing the double, the first driver to do the double in the Aussie Legends. And not a bad showing in the Supercar by all means. 4th place in the sprint, but end up down in 9th place in the feature. That will be corrected after some penalties are applied. To Jet, knock him back behind you. And on there, how do you sort of feel about whether it's the night on the whole, whether you want to talk about the Legends and the Supercar separately? I guess give us your take.
Oh, I mean, I'd probably prefer to talk about the Legends. That was the more successful round. But yeah, like, I mean, this track puts on great racing. I love that they're both at the same track, so at least it's not completely foreign to me. So yeah, Legends was obviously great. The pace was really good and was able to hold on to the lead on the final laps both times, which what was not a given. But it took a little bit of argy-bargy, but it all worked out. It was all fair. So that was really good for the Legends, and it was really good racing in them actually. All the guys up front were racing really well, and I liked that they threw in a safety car. That was a nice touch. It's a short track. There's a whole bunch of people that got taken out through that, so getting them back in the race was good. There was enough time to do it. So and yeah, I mean, Supercars, I'm still learning. First race, the pace was good, particularly long run pace. I fell off the guys obviously to start with. I'm probably underdriving a little bit, but yeah, second race just got stuck. So and couldn't make my way out through there, and yeah, obviously almost caused some carnage early on, but fortunately the guys were able to sort it out, and I could get the positions back and not cause any damage. But yeah, just a bit of an optimistic move on the final turn, but it's all right, no harm. We got through, and we've got race control out there tonight as well. So thanks to Tim for being out there. It always makes these better.
Now, obviously, a quick comment that you mentioned, obviously, some of the categories where we have some of the nights where obviously we're racing two completely different series and therefore two completely different tracks, but you mentioned that it's nice to be able to race the same track across the night. Obviously, that's not exactly the case with different layouts potentially being used in certain circuits where it's available, and also we've seen that already with Barcelona, where we also had the shorter course layout for the Legends cars. We're going to do it again next week for at the Bend, where we take on the sprint circuit for those, which will cut down that start-finish stretch, and then it's more or less the West layout once you take that chop off the start-finish stretch. So with that versus the international configuration for the Supercar, going to mean quite different first halves of the laps. Is that going to be a thing where you sort of like, that's going to be, it's different enough that you're going to have to really approach it sort of differently, or is it going to be enough common ground between the two layouts? You reckon it shouldn't be too much of an adjustment?
To be honest, because I did struggle to start with Spain a bit last week, just trying to get my head around the track over both times, and I've sort of been jumping in just after work, so it might be a case of I actually get a couple of laps in, particularly in the Supercar before I get home, rather than just jumping in, because yeah, like it does change it up. I do think it is better this way. We've got two series racing, and there's not a huge amount of time to practice in between, and obviously I've got a lot to learn still with the Supercar, so it takes a little bit of time to get my head around all that, and you don't want to lock up and go too far and cause carnage too. So yeah, that will make it a little bit different. I'm driving up right near Tailem Bend tomorrow, so I hope maybe I can stop by the track when the boss isn't looking and have a bit of a geese like I could with Adelaide. But yeah, that will change it up, but I still think it's a good thing to do. It sort of keeps a bit of a theme for the night.
Yeah, and we'll go back to that 40-minute race format as well, so bring on that longer tyre management and strategy into the play. And is that something you're going to look forward to, or is that going to be a case of sprint racing versus regular racing? Have you got a preference yet in a series like this, which does mandate a compulsory stop, unlike what we see with the SFLs and the Legends, which can be a stop if the fuel dictates?
Yes, controversial topics, Dan. But I mean, I generally prefer sprint races. I'm not so sure in these cars, probably because I am driving them relatively gently while I try and get the hang of them. It does seem like the long run pace is a little bit better than the short run, so maybe that will certainly be providing I can qualify okay. But qualifying okay around the bend will be pretty important too. So yeah, we'll see. I haven't quite. I'm usually pro sprint races, but I haven't quite come to a conclusion on these yet.
Well, we'll have to leave it there for tonight, but nevertheless, you said a successful opening and not a bad finish at the end of the day, and certainly chalk that one up to some good stuff from you. And yeah, just elbows out here at Motorsport sometimes don't go your way. As you said, no harm, no foul in the grand scheme of things, so not too bad for you. But the floor is yours. Anyone you want to shout out, give thanks to, and who have you?
Shout out to you guys for getting online, even though YouTube wasn't playing ball. I guess shout out to the team. I think they're doing actual qual series tonight, so I can wiggle around in these, and the boys can tune themselves into hundredths of a second. So shout out to them as well, and good luck to those guys.
There we are. Thank you very much, Sam Chapman, sweeping the Aussie Legend Support Series earlier on tonight, and solid results here. P4 in the sprint for the Supercars, and it would P8 after penalties elsewhere in the feature. To wrap up his racing here tonight, thank you again, Sam, and look forward to seeing you back out on track, I presume next week, unless there's some more racing you'll be doing to cap off the week tomorrow, Friday or Saturday night.
I think it will be next week. It'll be next week at this point. I've had to cut off Thursdays, unfortunately, despite my love of GT4s and P-Cups. So, next week it is. We'll be out for the Super Formula Lights.
Well, there we have it. Now we'll be looking to go and get some more results on the table there. In that case, then, well, hopefully see you back out on track in that case, Sam, next Monday night.
Cheers, that's right.
And that looks like it's going to wrap up our interviews here tonight, Adam, with the green room falling silent here. But I guess any sort of closing thoughts from you on the racing we saw tonight across both categories, or just the Supercars in particular, perhaps? And things we maybe didn't quite talk about all that much during the show that you wanted to highlight?
It was I think the second race was, as I said earlier during the broadcast, the second race with a little bit of the top 10 mix-up, and the guys trying to push forward, it did create some more opportunities for a bit more door-to-door action. A couple of the moves were probably a little bit on the optimistic side, as we saw the couple of things. I think for Jet's case, he's also new to the club, so he's still learning the types of races the guys are, because obviously there's some guys you can stick a nose in, they'll fold, and other people they won't. So he's trying to figure out who's who in the zoo. Unfortunately, it's caught him out a couple of times tonight, give him some penalties, but he will learn from that, and he's got the pace to move forward. So hopefully he can clean it up for next week and really put on a show for us. And it's been a good night.
Yeah, and to his credit as well, he's chucked me a message apologising too. So that's always nice to see within the club.
Well, yeah, at least the plus side is, like the one, like he's one he sort of stuck in there, and he pulled it out enough that he's both sort of saved it to a point. Unfortunately, the other one, after he got turfed himself, then he got someone a little bit harder. So there's the one at the end of the race probably going to be a bit of a sharper penalty. But it's good to see some new faces in the club, and just a matter of them figuring out where they fit and how the other guys race, and try and keep the fair play in play.
Good points there indeed. Well, let's have a quick look at what's coming up this week for the Gentlemen's Sim Racing Club and into early next week to kick off the fourth round of the season, or the fourth week of the season for this one tonight. And continue the broadcast action if we can tomorrow night. It may have to be on replay.
Well, yeah, the plan for Thursday, so plan is on Friday afternoon, so after lunch. We'll do both last week and this week's back-to-back as two separate broadcasts in the afternoon. So it'll be a Friday triple header for broadcasts.
There you go. Double the replay fun on Friday. But for those who want to get out and track and race, do make sure you rock up tomorrow night at the very least for Disruptors Labs GT4 Challenge from Miami International Autodrome. to kick things off there. 2 sprint races for the GT4s. We'll see them tackle the same format as the Legends cars. 15-minute sprint, 25-minute feature. Oh, actually, pardon me, it's more like the Supercars with a compulsory stop in race 2. So I'll take that back. So there you go. Make sure to get in on that broadcast there. So you've got 1 p.m. tomorrow. Oh, sorry, 1 p.m. Friday afternoon for last week to start that off, and then about 4 p.m. to start this week's replays off. But talking about the racing, make sure you get into the server by 7:35 p.m. Australian Eastern Daylight Time if you want to drive and get through qualifying in the Disruptive Labs GT4 Challenge. And then if you want to rock up for the GSRC Porsche Cup, which has now been expanded to 3 separate servers. Our Elite Cup, Open Cup, and the newly defined and calculated the Amateur Cup to try and reduce the grid sizes slightly and perhaps spread things out a fraction. We'll all be heading to the Autodromo Internazionale Enzo Edino Ferrari, otherwise quite simply known as Imola, for a 40-minute regular race round. The broadcast on replay tomorrow on Friday evening will be the Elite split server for that one this week. The replay from last week's racing at Monza will feature the Open Cup, which used to have, there was only 2 splits last week, so they will be covering both splits of last week's replay as part of the first afternoon broadcast for that one there. And then the newly adjusted Elite split server will be on replay for Imola as part of this week's broadcast package, as it were. And then the main affair for Friday night will be the Disruptive Labs GTE Championship race, heading to actually not the Bend. That's unfortunately that's last week's details. Adelaide Street Circuit is playing host to the racing action on Friday night. For the drivers who want to get in on that one, 45-minute sprint round for our GTE cars kicks off there. See 8:30 p.m. AEDT. Oh, pardon me, I did talk about the Porsche Cup cars. If you want to get on the Porsches for this week's racing at Imola, the 9 p.m. AEDT race start. Qualifying is 30 minutes, so you've got any time from 8:30 p.m. if you want to be getting in to get your qualifying laps sorted out. But then for the GTEs, qualifying from 8 p.m. is also 30 minutes, and then a 45-minute sprint race for our big GT cars tackling the streets of Adelaide. Fuel limited, they might need a pit stop, they might not, based on what we saw at Silverstone. And of course, during the Adelaide GTE broadcast, we will spin the wheel for the Mountain Men, where and what will be racing on the Saturday night. I'm also hoping to do a bit one of my impromptu broadcasts again and tinker around with a few more things. So there may be a broadcast at about 8:15 on Saturday evening of the Mountain Men. So if you want to get some more airtime, that's on my personal YouTube channel. I'll have the link posted in the Gents Discord, so club members come back to the Discord to find that on Saturday afternoon/evening. But that is the conclusion of the racing this week. And then, of course, we have a little bit of racing coming up next week to get week 4 underway. The national configuration of Donington Park will play host to our Waste Options Wings and Slicks Super Formula Light Series racing to kick off the night. That's the regular sprint race format as usual for those guys. Get into the race server by 7:35 p.m. AEDT if you want to qualify and race, because of the way the server locks people out normally. So make sure you're in by 7:30. Let's call it a round number if you want to get in on that action. And then following that, it will be the Waste Options GT3 Pro split on broadcast, as all of our splits head to Monza themselves for a 60-minute regular race. And mind you, that is Monza combined as per the official GT3 schedule. So if you've ever wanted to see GT3 cars do some oval racing, they will get to do some oval racing. And I hope you're ready for that, folks. That's going to be a little something there indeed. Of course, it'll be Zach Cave and Adam Lavers taking you through both the Thursday replays on Friday night as well as on Monday here as well. So keep that in mind there. Race start for the GT3s at 8:45 p.m. AEDT. Qualifying is 20 minutes. So if you want to get in, make sure you're in by about 8:25. Call it 8:20 if you want to be part of all the GT3 action on Monday night. And then our regularly scheduled unbroadcast night will be, of course, Tuesday with the GSRC Downforce Legends taking the Radicals to Adelaide Street Circuit as well. Same sprint format as the Wings and Slicks. Race start there though is 8 p.m, so make sure you're in the server by 7:50 if you want to be involved in all the racing action there, AEDT, and then that'll follow into, of course, the Formula 1 Retro Championship, which also heads to Donington Park. I think based on that, the Grand Prix course, yes indeed, the Grand Prix course for the Lotus 79s for a 40-minute regular race. 9:15 p.m. AEDT race start for the Lotus 79s. Qualifying is 30 minutes. Jump in the server on Tuesday night from 8:45 p.m. to catch the racing there, and then to loop all the way around to next Wednesday night. We'll hopefully be on air with you there, folks, with the GSRC Aussie Legends Cup, as we said, taking to the sprint circuit of the Bend for our regular 15-25 minute sprint races from 7:45 p.m. AEDT, and we'll go live at 5 minutes before. If you want to race, get in by 7:35 p.m. to catch the action there. And then the big boys, the supercars in the main event, will take to racing on the international layout for that 40-minute regular race. Their green flag at about 9 p.m, qualifying from 8:30 p.m. For those races as well. So jump in the server about 8:30 or so to get yourself on the track for the supercars. And that is the next 7 days of racing action, broadcasts, and the like here on the platforms of the Gentlemen's Sim Racing Club. One final shout out and thanks to all of the club sponsors that make all of the racing action possible here across all of these different categories and make the broadcast happen as well, to give us something to watch back on after the fact. And see their Trophi.AI bottom of your screen, title sponsor here, the Supercars, the Wednesday night, and have been now for several seasons. We've got it right, this is season number 5 that they have been supporting here for the club. So if you're looking for AI-based coaching as well as data analysis to help you find extra speed around the circuit, Trophi.AI, check them out at Trophi.AI on the web. And of course as well, Disruptive Labs club sponsor and supporting Thursday night with GT4 Challenge and Friday night with the GTE Championship. Waste Options, your supporter of Monday night action across both Wings and Slicks and the GT3s here at the GSRC this season. And then of course Flash Graphics with iRacing liveries. If you so need something to get your car painted up, or whether it's something like the Mountain Men, and there's a rostrum of cars that might already have paints from John, you can check those out too. And last but not least, of course, you can support the club itself through merch.GSRC.inc and get yourself something like clothing or accessories and apparel to kit yourself out to go along with your racing and support of the club on the track there as well. My name has been Denny Eamon, and big thanks to Adam Lavis for broadcasting once again here tonight on a Wednesday, and basically keeping all of this broadcast running for us here at the club this season so far. It's been a bit of a wild one for you. You've done practically every show bar the Friday night ones at this point, so hopefully we'll have some people to help out as time goes on. Of course, if you have any interest or experience in broadcasting, you are welcome to say hello. There is possibly a little something in it as well at the end of the season too. But yeah, until whether it's Friday night replays, Friday night live, or next week's official broadcasts on Monday and Wednesday, we hopefully will see you then, whether it's live or whether you watch it back after the fact with the archived streams on YouTube too. Until then, and whether it's also out on track as well as driving, hopefully see all of that good stuff as well. Take care, folks. Have yourselves a good day, evening, night, whenever it may be. And we'll hopefully see you around on a GSRC race or broadcast very soon. Bye for now.